Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be going through my December reading plans. I was going to go festive for, December, but I am still not recovered from Wicked, so I'm wearing my Wicked jumper instead. So just like everybody else on BookTube it would seem, I am also going for an overly ambitious TBR. Who is surprised? No one. I didn't read a lot of the books that were on my TBR last month, if I'm honest, but it's not because I was in a slump or anything like that. I actually really wanted to get to most of them, but I didn't get to every single one of them. A lot of these are probably going to be repeats of the books that were on my TBR last month, but hopefully this month I will actually read them. So in December, I'm mostly trying to read my physical TBR. Like, I haven't done very good with a lot of my reading goals, if I'm being honest this year, and at this stage, I'm not going to fix it. The one thing I did really well at is keeping on top of my series. So let's start. The first book that I want to read this month is The Final Strife by Sarah Labrifi. This book has made multiple appearances on TBRs, I think throughout this year and maybe some of last year. I've heard like a couple of people have started reading this series, including Casty, and Casty absolutely adores it, which has definitely encouraged me to pick it up again. But I remember a couple of months back there was more people, I can't even remember off the top of my head, like this year I've seen a lot of people reading it and really loving it, so I really want to pick it up. It has been on my TBR for over a year now. A world where society is divided by your blood, so there are red bloods, blue bloods, and clear bloods. The red bloods are like the royalty, the high society. The clear bloods are not even treated as human, and then the blue bloods are treated quite poorly. And I think before, like years and years before this story starts, there was the sparks of a rebellion, and they switched some red-blooded babies with some blue-blooded babies to the hopes that when the next trials to choose the emperor would come along, that these red-blooded children who have grown up seeing the struggles of the blue-blooded people would be able to fight and give the blue-blooded people more rights. And this rebellion failed, so now we follow, I think, a couple of point of views, including some of those children that were swapped, and how like the repercussions of it all. Another book that I have on my list is A Time of Dread by John Gwynne. It's the third and final book in the sequel series to The Faithful and the Fallen, which starts with Malice. This one starts with A Time of Blood. I don't love this series as much, but I am reading it along with Catch Up Book Club, so I'm going to finish it. It is just the last one. I have got on my library hold. I think I'm not as invested in the characters, and so it's not doing as much for me as the first series did, but this is set in the same world as The Faithful and the Fallen, but it is 100 or so years later, and we are following like the descendants as well as some characters like giants and these mystical creatures who were around during that time, as the world has kind of like it's split off, and there are two kind of different factions that are trying to keep the evil from the first series out of the world, and we're following and seeing their different cultures and the different ways that they fight and how they are all trying to stop this evil from coming back, and it might be resurfacing. Book number 3 I have on this list is Shaman's Crossing by Robin Hobb. This is the first book in the Soldier Sun series. This is not as well loved or as acclaimed as the Realm of the Elderlings, but I want to read all of Robin Hobb anyway, and I did also have this on my top 10 priority, and I haven't obviously touched it. It is on my physical TBR. It's been there I think 2 years, so it's one of the oldest ones I think on there, so it would be nice to get through it. I don't even know what this plot is about. The back of it is so weird. Like, because it's talking about there is a spread of a sexual plague. I'm like, wait, what now? So I don't know what this is about, but I want to read it because it is Robin Hobb. I want to get through her backlist. So it's going on the TBR. Next up, we have The Will of the Many by James Islington. This book was on my TBR last month, but I didn't get to it. This follows a boy who is an orphan, and boy, he's a teenager. And he was taken in by this man who has trained him to get into this academy and to spy. And our main character has his own motives though, because he wants to go in and he wants to try and take down the system. And as I said, I've heard incredible things. The sequel is out. I haven't heard a lot. I feel like I've seen a lot of people being like, I'm going to read it soon. I'm going to read it soon. But I actually haven't seen that many people reading it yet. I am a little worried because I do know this is told in first person. I was just reminded how tiny the text is in here. That is insane. This is told in first person, which can be hit or miss for me. I think it should be okay because as far as I know, it is just one point of view. It is just our main character. So I think it should be fine. Because like that usually tends to work with me, like with like, you know, Robin Hobb with like Assassin's Apprentice. That is first person. That is entirely Fitz's point of view. So like that can work for me, but also that is first person past tense, whereas I think this is first person present tense, which I don't really like books written in first person present tense unless they're like contemporary romances. I don't really like it for fantasy. I don't know why. I do read them, but I tend not to enjoy them as much. So that is my one fear going into this, is that that might take me out of the story a bit. Next up, I have Jade War by Fonda Lee, which I am halfway through. I read that first half in one day and then have never continued. I was really enjoying it. It was like a 4-star, I would say. But the same was, I could say the same for Jade War. I gave the, not Jade War, Jade City. Jade City I read last year, the year before. I gave that a 5-star. But like the first half was like 4. And then the last bit bumped me up to the 5. And so like this is also feeling 4. And I was really enjoying my time, but I just put it down. I was like, okay, I'll come back to it. I like need a day where I could just sit through and fly through the last bit. And then I just never came back to it. And now I'm like, oh no, am I going to have to restart it? But either way, I do have to finish this before the end of the year. It is another one that was on my priority. It is another one that is on my physical TBR. I need to get to it. It follows a family on this island, and they are one of the main families who can use Jade. And Jade can like make you stronger, faster, all of this. And these two clans are fighting over the city's supply of Jade. Oh, like mostly them and a couple of like outside perspectives as we see how they are, you know, navigating through this political climate and their family dynamics and all of that. Then another repeat from last month is A Fire Endless by Rebecca Ross. I need to finish this series before the end of the year, no doubt about it. I really loved the first one. I was shocked. It was such a pleasant surprise. Need to get to the end. And I am actually getting it for Christmas, so this might be one that like is one of my Christmas books, because usually like that week I do quite a bit of reading because I just like sit in front of the fire. First book follows Jack, and he is a bard, and he was sent to the mainland when he was younger to get an education. And then he gets a letter from the king of this island and he returns. But it turns out the letter was actually sent by the king's daughter and his childhood rival, and she wants his help to use his music to summon spirits because there are children going missing on this island, and she thinks the spirits might be able to help them. And as I said, I really did enjoy the first one. I'm afraid of the second one. Next, another repeat from last month, The Iron Ghost by Jen Williams. This is another one that I have actually started. I got 128 pages in. We need to continue. This is the second book in the Copper Cat trilogy. The first book follows Widrin, Aaron, and Sebastian. Sebastian is an ex-knight. Aaron is a nobleman who people thought was dead. And Widrin is a bit of everything, to be honest. And they team up because this nobleman wants to go into the crypts below the city because he thinks that there is something valuable down there, and they all head down and release something into the world that they shouldn't have. And as I said, I was enjoying what I did read, so I need to continue. I'm starting to realize that this is a very unrealistic TBR. I don't know what I'm thinking. I don't know who I think I am, but wish me luck, I guess. Next up, I have The Goddess of the River by Vaishnavi Patel. This is my very last Illumicrate book, guys. If I read this, I will be free from them. And I have not liked a single one, basically. I have. I liked Starling House, but I didn't love it. It was like, okay, I like this, I guess. So hopefully our last one will be a win. Please. Please, I need a win. It is a mythology retelling. So she's turned into human. She marries like the king, and then has a son, but then her curse is broken, and so she's allowed to become a goddess again, but she has to leave her human son behind. I think it explores that. So I'm hoping this will be a win. Again, this is a very unrealistic TBR because these are some chunky books I'm choosing. This one will definitely get read. This is Emily Wilde's Compendium of Lost Tales. I think it might be the shortest of them, to be honest. It's like 340 pages. I have flown through the other ones. I think I've read both of the other ones in a day each. So this one I imagine will be no different. It follows Emily Wilde. She is a professor about fairies, and she, in the first book, sets off on an adventure to study these fairies. And while there, she doesn't get off on the best foot with the locals because they don't want somebody nosing around their business. And then her annoying coworker, Wendell, shows up and makes everything so much worse. And the two of them have to kind of work together. And I have thoroughly enjoyed the first two, and I'm very excited to get to the third and final one. I would love to, but like these are probably like the least important ones, to be honest. The rest of these are like the priority ones. But I would love to start my reread of The Witchlands. I was going to reread them because on Cassidy's Patreon, we kind of started an impromptu buddy read. And I was like, okay, I'll join that. And then I missed like the first two, and I was like, okay. I was in like a bit of a slump. I was like, you know what? I actually don't need, I remember everything pretty well. And then I got Witchlight in the post, and I was like, okay, I literally sat down to start it because I was so excited. And I was like, I can't do it. I have to reread them. I just have to. So I do think I could read this perfectly fine. I think I remember everything I need to, if I'm being 100% honest, but I don't want to go into it without rereading them. So on a reread, so I would like to start that potentially. Here's the stack. It's unrealistic, but I don't care. So yes, so tell me what are your December reading plans. Are you reading any of these? Have you read any of these? Are any of them any good? Please let me know down below. So thank you guys so much for watching. I do hope you enjoyed. If you did, subscribe. And I will see you all in the next one. Bye.